for the first time ever, I get to say welcome to the Skraby Show. I'm Matt Skraby. Thank you for joining me for my first ever show. I really appreciate everybody who's already in the YouTube chat. We got a few people from Mexico listening. We got Taps says, I had to be here just so that his first show was listened to internationally. Playas de Tijuana is here for you, Scrabe. Thank you very much. Thanks to everyone who is joining us right here in your cars if you're driving home. Now, 6 p.m., we used to be on at 6 p.m., Quinn and Chris. It was a 3 to 7 p.m. show. We ended up getting things moved around maybe a couple years ago, but we moved to 2 to 6, and I heard a lot of fans and listeners that were kind of bummed that we weren't going to be having a show from 6 to 7 p.m. because they wanted to have some of their sports talk on the way home. So Adam and I have been talking about this. Adam and I have been thinking about this, and it finally came together. So I want to thank Adam for helping me make this happen, as well as Michael Valenzuela. But the Skraby Show, this is something that I have been wanting to do for a very long time. And it's the reason that I got into radio, quite honestly. So right now, this is a milestone for me. This is a milestone in my career because it's crazy, quite honestly, that I have something with my name on it. And we're going to, a lot of you already know who I am, and a lot of you already know what kind of show you're going to get. But, I think that it's going to be a little bit different. And you've heard me do those solo shows, but I think those were in the realm of the Gwyn and Chris type show. But it's going to sound a little bit similar, but I do not want to make this just an extension of Gwyn and Chris. We're going to have fun. We're not going to take things too seriously. But again, overreactions and conspiracy theories are most definitely welcome, because that is where I live, conspiracy theories and all of those crazy stories. But we're just gonna do things the way that Matt Skraby only knows how to do. And if that's mess everything up, then that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna, on this show, I am all by myself operating the cameras and the board and all of that. So I don't mind doing that at all, because it's what I do on a daily basis already. But I may talk to myself on the air. We're going to try things together. I may be telling people, oh, I got to turn on the cameras, or, oh, I got to turn off the cameras, something like that. But you're going to hear that. You're going to hear me talking to all of you, because literally I am the only person in this room right now. So like I said, we're on YouTube. You can go to YouTube, type in 97.3 The Fan. You'll see that the live page is there right now, and it should show the Skraby Show being broadcast live on YouTube. It's also on Facebook, 97.3 The Fan, and it's also on X at 97.3 The Fan. I don't want to make things too sappy, but at the end of the show, I want to take a couple minutes to talk about how I got here. I don't want to do that in the beginning, because I don't really want it to seem like I'm patting myself on the back, but I want to talk about my journey, because I do hope it can inspire others, and it can inspire them to try to realize their dreams just like I did. Now, a lot of you know my story. I am a recovering alcoholic, and so that's all part of the story. We'll get to that at the end of the show. We're also going to, if you were listening to Gwyn and Chris, we're going to, at the end of the hour, I'm going to have something called the Daily Gripe. And today, the Daily Gripe, you got half of it, which was the paving around our work was closed literally every street. It took Tony and I 15 minutes just to get to work, and we were looking at the office from the parking lot, but we couldn't do it. And that was the gripe earlier. But I got another gripe to share with all of you. I want to talk about my journey, because there are certain things in it that I think would be valuable for different people to learn. Like, I get asked a lot how to get into radio and all that. And I tell people, and sometimes they take it seriously and sometimes they don't. But if you want to get into radio one day, or you're interested in how to get into radio, then listen to the end of the show and I'll let you know. But with all that mumbo jumbo out of the way, I think let's get into the show and let's talk a little bit here. We had we talked about the Padres earlier and Gwyn and Chris, but I'm going to do something at the end of this segment with the top 3 news stories of the day. And I want to do that because the feedback that I've received from people is that they're getting in their car after work and they want to hear what the top news stories of the day are. So that's what we're going to be doing in the first segment, but I have to go to our phones real quick. If you want to join us, 833-288-0973. This is the Skraby Show. It's going to have to be really, I'm going to have to get used to that, because it's not something I'm used to saying, but we have longtime listener of the station, Brock, here. And Brock, How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, happy Monday, Matt. Just came back from Arizona, saw my son about to land in Carlsbad. I want to say congratulations.
Thank
A lot
you.
of people are excited to hear you, and just bring it, buddy. We're here for the experience, and we're all behind you. So have a good week. Happy Monday. Congratulations.
I appreciate that, Brock. Thank you very much for calling in. Brock is a big listener to the station. We met him at Carlsbad High School when we were broadcasting earlier or later in 2023 when we went up there for a high school football game. Brock came by, gave us some hats. So appreciate you, Brock, listening. I appreciate you supporting the station as you always have. And some of the comments right now in the some of the comments in the YouTube stream. I'm not going to read those right now. See, I'm already talking to myself. We're only about 6 minutes into the show, but that is some of the things you're going to get because sometimes I'm going to change my mind in the middle of it, in the middle of what I'm saying. Basically, that's how my brain works. My brain is weird. It's crazy. It's all over the place. It could go from one thing to the next without any sort of warning. So just bear with me. Hang out. Sit back, do whatever you need to do, and hopefully the traffic's not too bad. And for all you YouTube viewers out there, please ask me a question or anything you want to hear on the show. You can type into the YouTube chat. All right, let's get into our first top 3 of the Skraby Show. And these are just the top 3 stories, sports stories of the day, according to me, I guess. But really, they're going to be just the top 3 sports stories of the day. But I got to say, number 1 has to be what Bob Nightingale wrote in USA Today over the weekend. He wrote 10 things that he made 10 predictions for baseball in this upcoming season. And at number 9, he wrote, Padres will stay quiet. And then he goes on to say, the San Diego Padres' wild spending days are over. They don't offer anyone more than $5 million a year the rest of winter, trying to spread out the remaining $20 million in their budget to fill about 6 different positions. Their World Series aspirations have melted into the goal of merely qualifying as a wild card contender. And why I put this as the number 1 story of the day is because the National League West has spent so much money this year on players, and the Dodgers themselves have spent over $1 billion in free agency. And the rest of Major League Baseball, according to Travis Sawchik on X, the rest of Major League Baseball has spent $1.056 billion, while the Dodgers have spent $1.066 billion. The Padres have not really spent much money here in this offseason, and I know that they were very cash strapped. I guess I can't say cash strapped, but I know that they were being careful about their spending to begin with. But AJ Preller has had to make some, he has had to be creative in how he's done things. And we talked about it last week on the show, but it's, I think that AJ is going into building the team in a way that we really haven't seen before. And that is that he is taking some of the players from the Nippon Professional Baseball League as well as the KBO, and he's getting them in early and he's signing them to contracts early. It's kind of been, I know that players have been coming over from those 2 leagues for a long time, but it seems like in the last maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe even with the emergence of Shohei Ohtani, that now a lot of teams are looking towards those leagues to help supplement the roster. And it seems like they can do it for a cheap, for relatively cheap compared to what other players get on the open market. Like Sean Manaea, 2 years, he's making $28 million, I believe, $14 million a year. And when we talk about the Padres spending, that's just a contract that I'm not willing to have. That's not a contract I'm willing to take on for a guy like Sean Manaea. He's already been here in San Diego. We kind of saw what he could do. He didn't start that many games last year, but $14 million for, and I'm just picking on Sean Manaea because that's the guy who I saw last, but $14 million for a guy like Sean Manaea is where baseball's at, number 1 in its market. But on the other side, it's just, to me, you're overpaying for someone who's not going to live up to that $14 million salary that he's getting. And so I'm not real sure. I'm not real sure what the Mets were thinking there because they've already spent a ton of money, but that is back to the beginning. That is what is the going rate for a pitcher in Major League Baseball right now. But on the other side, You can go overseas and you can grab someone, not Yamamoto, because he's obviously one of the bigger names, but you can go find good players in the KBO, in Nippon Professional Baseball. You can go find them. You can bring them here to San Diego and you can make them a part of the team. And you know what? If it keeps them under the luxury tax, that is really all that you need for this season, because they cannot go into the third year of being over the luxury tax. It would it would cost them a half, actually. See, they've already been through the first 2 years of the luxury tax, which is a different tax rate of like 20% and then 40%. And then the third year in a row of being over the luxury tax is half. So the Padres have spent ton of money in the last 2 years, but I don't know that they're not going to spend money for the rest of eternity, like Bob Nightingale kind of said there. But it's something that I have been a little worried about, because there are still a lot of issues and holes on this team right now that they need to take care of, and they need to take care of it relatively quick, because spring training is coming up like in 5 weeks, maybe. They're going to be in Korea before you know it, playing the Dodgers to open the season in March. So things have to get moving a little bit. Things definitely have to get moving a little bit. And I'm okay with not spending a lot of money on free agents, because all of us have seen it and saw it last year when the Padres spent a bunch of money on free agents and in previous years, and then they ended up not making the playoffs. I think teams really need to have a good mix of veterans that are being paid well as those guys that are role players that are being paid less than probably what they should have, but it's keeping the team under the luxury tax. So that is why I put this as the number one story, because time is running out. And I got to see what the Padres are going to do going forward with this. I got to see what they're going to do in regards to filling out that rotation that they need to fill out. You got Michael King, you got Yu Darvish, you got Joe Musgrove, you have other guys. I know Andy and Elston talked about Matt Waldron a little bit earlier today. Pedro Avila, he's out there as well, but those names don't really stand out to me, the Matt Waldron and the Pedro Avila, as full year starters. They just don't seem like they're guys that can go a full year as a starter. Well, we saw it last year. There were some times that they struggled. There were some times that they're really good, but a full year, I don't know if they can handle that. But I think the Padres are going to give them every opportunity to try and make that rotation, because if you can get someone in-house that's already under contract, that's even better for the Padres and what they're doing with the payroll and spending and all that. So that's my number one biggest news story of the day. Second biggest news story of the day is going to be the national championship football game. They're playing in Houston right now. Now, Michigan was running away with this game. It was 17-3 last time I looked when we started the show. And Washington has just scored a touchdown. So I'm waiting for them to put the score back up. But at least Washington is moving the ball. They weren't moving the ball earlier. It was very tough for them to do anything. And the offensive line for Washington was just getting crushed by Michigan's defensive line. But Washington is on the board with the touchdown, and I am waiting for that score to come up so I can move on from this. They're just showing a bunch of reactions now on TV of the coaches celebrating. All I want is the score, TV. That's what I need right now, and you're not giving it to me. There it is, 17-10, 42 seconds left in the first half. Washington is kicking off to Michigan. So at least Washington's making it a game. They slowed down the Michigan offense, and that's all I can really ask for, and we'll be updating you on that throughout the rest of the hour. Now, we also, the third top story of the day would be the Dodgers signing Teoscar Hernandez. Jeff Passan tweeted yesterday, of the $23.5 million in Teoscar Hernandez's deal with the Dodgers, $8.5 million will be deferred to be paid out from 2030 to 2039, sources tell ESPN. He opted for a big 1-year deal with the best team over other multi-year offers. And for him, that's great. For him, it's great to take that 1-year deal with multiple offers, $23.5 million, 8.5 of it deferred. And I know we talked about on the show earlier, Gwen and Chris, but this deferral thing, although it's not cheating, and I heard the morning show talking about it, although it's not cheating, I guess I'm a little jealous too that they're getting all their guys to sign these deferrals. It's a good idea for the players, but it just doesn't make sense for the rest of baseball. And when everyone signs with one team because they want to win a championship, I just don't think that's good for baseball either. And I would be saying this about any team. And I know that the Padres did it last year, and I shared some concerns about how I didn't think that they had enough guys to make it through. But uh, I didn't really want to say it because everybody was so excited. I didn't think anybody was really going to get behind that opinion, but it ended up to be true. And so when we get back from break, I'm going to break down some in the last 11 years, the top team payroll and what that team did in the postseason, or if they even made the postseason. Because I keep saying it, just because you spend a lot of money does not mean you are going to win a World Series title. And I have the stats to prove all that. I have all the information to prove all that. Before we go to break, let's get to the phones real quick. This is the Skraby Show. Again, need to get used to that. I'm Matt Skraby, and you can give us a call, 833-288-0973, or you can go to the YouTube channel, and you can type in 97.3 The Fan and find it that way. All right, Kathy, you are on the air. How are you today? Long time.
I'm doing great, Skraby, and I just want to say again, congratulations. I'm glad for you.
Thank you very
You've
much.
got your own show to kind of talk to people about stuff.
Yeah, about stuff and be all crazy like I usually am, and not have Chris stopping me every 5 seconds. I get too crazy.
Yeah, it's okay. We like that about you, Skrabe.
Thank you. So what do you think about this Teoscar Hernandez thing? Do you think this deferral money is getting out of control?
Extremely out of control, and it's like really making me hate the Dodgers even more than I already do because it's ridiculous.
It is
And
ridiculous. It's we can't be mad though. We can't because it's legal, and all teams agreed to this. It's just like when someone takes a loophole and exploits it to the maximum extent. That is what bothers me, because the loophole is there for certain circumstances, not to sign an entire super team, in my opinion.
Well, exactly. And I know that, they're saying, hey, this is great for baseball, great for baseball. It's like, great for what side of baseball?
The Dodgers.
How is having one team, the Dodgers, how is having one team having all that talent going to make this great for baseball? And I'm going to laugh my butt off when they don't make it to the playoffs in 2024.
Yeah,
I mean, I have a feeling round, I'm going to laugh.
I have a feeling they're going to make the playoffs, but I can't say that they're going to go farther than that because they haven't proven it to me yet. But thank you, Kathy, for the phone call, and appreciate you doing all you do for our station.
Thanks, Gravy. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. All right, let's go to our next phone call, and then we'll get the break, and then we'll get to that list of team salaries. Kathleen in Chula Vista. Kathleen, you're on the air. What's up?
How'd you know who I was? Nobody even asked my name.
Because we have a call screener, and we can tell.
Oh.
Yeah, if you've called in before, we get to save your names, and so that's how it pops up.
Yeah, I want to know what happened to John Katira.
Oh, Coach Quintera, if you would like to go see what happened with Coach Quintera, then you could. There is a post on our YouTube explaining everything. If you go there, you can click on the post that says what happened with 97.3 The Fan, and it will explain everything for you.
So he's not on radio at all anywhere?
He's not with our company anymore, but thank you, Kathleen. He is not on radio right now, but yes, you can go to YouTube and you can go and check it out with Coach. And you could check out the explanation from Adam Klug himself as to what went down with all of that. And I'm just going to leave it right there. I'm just going to leave that right there. Let's go to break real quick. When we get back, again, I'm going to talk about the different team payrolls and if they went to the World Series, how many teams won the World Series with the top payroll. But that's all when we get back on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan.
Did you know that you can now listen to all your favorite teams, stations, shows, and even
You're listening to the Skraby Show here on 97.3 The Fan. New show for 2024. I will be on weekdays from 6 to 7 p.m. If there's no Padres, if there's no NFL, if nothing is preempting the show, I will be doing 6 to 7 p.m. directly after Gwen and Chris. But, I have a few thoughts in mind when the season comes around, because there's going to be a couple weeks there where I'm not going to be able to do this at all. So I think I might release something in a podcast format. I'm not quite sure yet. Like I said in the beginning, I'm taking this slow and I'm letting it come to me a little bit. I have tons of ideas, but you don't really implement the ideas in the first day. It's just not possible. And many ideas that I have need to be worked on a little bit, because if you ask the guys, Gwen and Chris, I tell them about ideas and they're like, come back to me in, I don't know, a week when you've thought about it. And I appreciate them for that, because sometimes the ideas are not fully thought out. But I'm not going to try them on this show. I'm going to make sure that they're good ideas before we get them going. And I appreciate, you know what? Let me say this real quick. I appreciate everybody who has reached out to me since we announced this on Friday. It's been an overwhelming good thing that I have felt all weekend long. Like, so many people that I haven't heard from, so many people that I have heard from, saying that they're looking forward to having live sports talk here in San Diego on 97.3 The Fan from 6 to 7 p.m. And I appreciate each and every one of you. I really did try to go through Facebook, X, and Instagram and reply to everyone, like everyone's comments, because there were some really, if you're going to take your time out of the day to go and comment on my thing, then I definitely want to make sure that I'm giving you the same back, because that's the only fair way. I always think about it like that, because you are taking the time out of your day to spend it with our radio station, or to spend it with Gwen and Chris, or to spend it with me. And I really do appreciate that. The chat is getting crazy here in the YouTube channel. So if you would like to join the chat, or if you want to watch the show, you can just go to YouTube, type in 97.3 The Fan. You will see it running live right now. Before break, I got a call from Carlos, and he wanted to talk a little bit about team payroll. So let's go to Carlos, and then we'll get into my list. Carlos, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Skraby? I just want to congratulate you on your new talk show, or radio time. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you.
Get a little nervous, man. I'm really on there right now. Anyways, no, you were talking about the Dodgers, playing for the championship and stuff like that. Sorry about that. It's going crazy.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm sorry. He or she, are they unhappy with the Dodgers as well?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. They do. She does not. She dislikes them as well as her father. Anyway,
other than the obvious, what are your thoughts on what the Dodgers have done this offseason?
Well, it sounds like they secured a championship, but I just don't. I'll believe it when I see it, type deal. I'm kind of scared for kind of worried about the Padres. I haven't heard much news about them, so I don't know. It's going to be a tough season.
Yeah, Carlos, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing that you haven't heard much about them. It just means that, we've said this so many times before, but AJ Preller makes moves when no one knows about it, and then all of a sudden we wake up one day and the Padres have signed Xander Bogaerts or something like that. Thank you for the call, Carlos. But I think that they have not bought a championship yet. I will not agree with that part of your call, but I will agree that I'm a little nervous about where the Padres are going heading into this season. Like I said in the last segment, there's like 5 or 6 weeks left until spring training is here, and the Padres have some work to do on the roster. They definitely have some work to do. All right, so this fascination with me and super teams, quote unquote, has been, it's been around for a really long time, because I remember playing video games as a kid and just signing all the great players and free agents and winning the championship. And, that doesn't work in real life. I think we all know that it doesn't work in real life. And the Padres last year spending as much money as they did, missing the playoffs, proves that. But here are, going year by year back to 2013. Here are the top payroll team and what their result was. And I think this is a good way to put things into perspective, because it does get a little it gets a little overwhelming when you see the Dodgers signing more and more players like Teoscar Hernandez yesterday. But as well, Adam Klug texted me a little bit earlier and said no one's even talking about Tyler Glass now. And that's true. They signed him as well to the rotation. So that does make me a little nervous when a pitcher of his caliber is kind of going under the radar a little bit. But here we go. Last year in 2023, the Mets spent $343 million on their payroll, and they did not get nearly as much as they should have from it. They went 75-87 last year and missed the playoffs, so not good at all. And that was well chronicled last year. And now I can't say last year the Padres are off the hook because they spent a ton of money and they ended up missing the playoffs as well. But they did have an above 500 record. I guess I'll hang my hat on that one. 2022, the Dodgers spent the most money in baseball, $270 million. They had 111 wins, but they exited in the NLDS against the Padres. So that money went towards a first-round exit for them. 2021 is the Dodgers, $265 million. They won 106 games. That was the season that the Giants won 107, so they didn't win the division for the first time in a long time, but they ended up exiting in the NLCS in 2021. So another trip to the playoffs, but no trip to the World Series or a title. Now in 2020, it was the COVID season, the 60-game season. They spent $124 million. They did win the World Series, and I'm not going to say it's an asterisk, and I'm not going to say, it doesn't count. It counts, but at the same time, the spending was way different, and a lot of things were way different. So I guess I can kind of throw that year out a little bit. But they did end up, so I guess I can't throw the year out because they did end up spending the most money and they won the World Series, but short season. 2019 Red Sox, they spent the most money in baseball, $213 million on their payroll. They went 84-78 and missed the playoffs. The 2018 Red Sox spent $223 million on their payroll. They were the most in baseball. They actually ended up winning 108 games and they won the World Series. So there we go. Our first team that holds the payroll crown and the World Series title. 2018 Red Sox will be our first team. The Dodgers took the top spot in 2017, $242 million. They didn't make it to the World Series, but the Astros won, so a World Series trip, no title. 2016 Dodgers, $253 million. They lost to the Cubs in the NLCS. 2015 Dodgers, $230 million, lost to the Mets in the NLDS. 2014 Dodgers, $235 million. Lost to the Cardinals in the NLDS, and then the Yankees in 2013, $228 million. They did not even make the playoffs. So I know that was a lot of numbers that I was throwing at you, but basically here in summary, since 2013, the team with the highest payroll has only won the World Series in a full season once, the 2018 Red Sox. Since 2013, the team with the highest payroll has made the playoffs 8 of the 11 years. Since 2013, the team with the highest payroll has made the World Series 3 times. And since 2013, the Dodgers have had the highest payroll 7 times with 1 World Series win in that 2020 season. So I broke all of that down to say this. Just because you spend the most money does not mean you have bought yourself a title. And I think the Dodgers, they've already said it. It's World Series or bust. It's a failure if they don't win the World Series this year. And I just so happen to be picking on the Dodgers because the Dodgers have spent the most money in baseball 7 times in the last 11 years or so. And they don't have many championships to show for it. They have 1 championship. There's only 1 team on this list that won a World Series and spent the most money in a full season, and that's the 2018 Red Sox. That's not something. It's telling me that there is proof behind these numbers that you cannot buy a championship. So when people ask me, and I go to my AA meetings, and I get people talk to me about the Dodgers, the Padres, whatever, and I just tell them, just because they spent a lot of money doesn't mean they're immediately going to win the championship. And I don't know where the Padres are going to be at in this whole thing throughout the year, but if with some smart moves by AJ Preller and company, I think the Padres could be one of those teams because they do have superstars. Padres have a lot of superstars under contract, Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., Xander Bogaerts. You got Yu Darvish. You got Joe Musgrove. You got Fernando Tatis Jr. So those guys are going to need, the pressure is on them to have an incredible year, because the pressure is they're going to have to, the offense is designed around those guys getting on base, driving in runs, and all of the above, hitting for power. And it just didn't happen last year with those guys. And so when you're relying on your 7, 8, 9 hitters in the lineup, when you have about $500-600 million in the top half of the lineup, you cannot win a bunch of games when you are relying on your 7, 8, 9 guys to win games for you. And so the Padres stars have a huge season ahead of them. And I personally think, I said this last week, I personally think that Fernando Tatis Jr. is on his way to an MVP this year. He looked great last year. He looked really good at the end of last year. And now that he's kind of, away from all of that drama and all of that turbulence that he faced a couple years ago, I think nothing but good things are going to happen for Fernando Tatis Jr. and the San Diego Padres. But there you go. That's the breakdown of the teams. And again, only one team has won the World Series in a full season and spent the most money on team payroll in baseball, $223 million. So hopefully you enjoyed that math breakdown. I didn't actually have to do any math, which was nice, because we all know my math is not very good at all. All right. That is segment number 2 on the inaugural Skraby Show. Thanks to everybody who's joining me still in the chat. This is insane. You guys are awesome for being here. I really do appreciate that. Showing me some love. And this is an extension of you all, because I'm a fan and I can be a crazy fan as well. I can think crazy things. I can have crazy takes. And if you have a crazy take, feel free to share it with me at Matt Skraby on Twitter and Instagram, or X and Instagram, also in the YouTube chat, 97.3 The Fan. When we get back, we are going to go into the first daily gripe of the Skraby Show. It's not going to be about the parking lot. We're also going to talk about an announcer's jinx that happened yesterday. And I have a few thoughts about announcer's jinx. So that's all coming up when we get back on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan.
Quinn and Chris on the Fan.
So then I get to make the U-turn. Now I'm going back to the light to get on Arrow Drive.
You're listening to The Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan. I'm Matt Skraby. First ever Skraby Show if you're just tuning in for the first time. And I am honestly feeling the love today, I gotta say. I really am. All weekend, too. I said it a little bit earlier, but I am sometimes surprised at how many people are out there listening and like not surprised that they're enjoying what they're listening to, but it's just always so nice to see different names pop up and say nice things. And I'll also have people say mean things as well, but it's okay. I'm all right with that. I say dumb things sometimes, so I kind of deserve it. But anyway, this is the first ever Skraby Show, and thank you all for joining it. We're gonna have our daily gripe, my daily gripe here in about 5 minutes or so. And then I wanted to finish the show talking about how I got here and kind of the path that I took to get here. Just in case you're if you're sitting out there and you're like, man, I want to do this. I think I could do this. Then listen for that at the end of this hour. But first, Kevin Burkhardt, Fox NFL announcer, we were talking about announcer jinxes, and he jinxed Brandon Aubrey's perfect season yesterday. And so he had to send out a post on X saying, I'm sorry for ruining Brandon Aubrey's perfect season. Also, you're welcome for the NFC East title in yesterday's blowout win. Hopefully, Greg Olsen will be able to talk kickers with me again now. So Brandon Aubrey hadn't missed, and Kevin Burkhardt brought that up right before he missed. I know we do this in baseball all the time with the no-hitter or the perfect game. And I used to be superstitious like that, but I've come to realize it does not matter if you say something before it happens. If it is meant to be, it's meant to be. But I don't buy into that announcer's jinx anymore. And I even like how sometimes the TV broadcast will put up perfect game or no hitter through such and such an inning. I think that's pretty funny because then you're getting it off of the announcer's back. And I know that Don and Mud and Jesse and Tony take a really hard time from people out there when they mention something like that. So I just want to say I don't really believe in those announcer jinxes. All right, let's go to the phones. Our guy Gilberto is on the phone. What's up, Gilberto?
Hola, Mateo Skraby. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
I'm doing great, and I wanted to call because I want to congratulate you. Felicitaciones for this gig. You deserve it. I've been listening to the show for over 4 years with Wayne and Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are the most fun show I've listened ever. Now I listen to a few shows, but nothing like you guys. And I'm very, very happy for you. And I wish you the best. And I know you're going to kill it. And we're going to have fun this year with the evil empire of the Dodgers facing the Padres with no expectations. And like I told you guys before, they have to play the games.
Mm-hmm.
Don't underestimate the Padres. What they've done, especially that trade for Soto, those 4 pitchers they got, and Kali Gashioka, they're going to make a big difference. And they needed fresh blood. I'm looking forward for the baseball season, and it's going to be very, very fun in San Diego. Obviously, I expect my Dodgers to win, but they have to play the games.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the fair, money, whatever players they get, they need to perform for every single team. And I'm just going to enjoy it. And I'm enjoying your show. You're doing an excellent job, Skraby. Really,
you.
I appreciate you, and I wish you the best, Skraby.
Thank you so much, Gilberto. I appreciate you as well. And we're going to have to meet up again this year. I finally got to meet Gilberto last year when he came out to one of our broadcasts before a Padres game, and that was awesome. Gilberto, I think callers that are familiar with Gilberto knows that he's a Dodgers fan, but he also lives, he goes to a lot of Padres games. But Gilberto is one of the Dodgers fans who isn't like mad when you bring up the Padres or anything like that. He's a pretty fair fan. So that's why we allow Gilberto to talk about his Dodgers on the air, because he's fair about it. If they do something wrong, he's going to call them out for it. And he's going to compliment the Padres too. He's always very, very positive about the Padres. And even when last year it was not easy to get positive about the Padres. Let me see what time it is. All right. See, there we go. Talking to myself again. Jason, you're up next. What's up? You're on the Skraby Show.
Yo, what up, Skraby?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. Hey, I just want to say congratulations. I thought it was amazing when they decided to give you a show. I've always loved you on Gwen and Chris. And I appreciate that, you talk about being a recovering alcoholic because, I am too. And I just get a lot of inspiration from, hearing you share that and seeing where you're at today. And I've messaged you privately on Twitter a couple of times and talked about it. And I just, I appreciate the responses and engagement, and just want to say I'm happy for you, dude, and look forward to this year. Although I'm not stoked about what the Dodgers are doing at all. So.
Who is really, unless you're a Dodgers fan, but no, I get it.
Brutal, man.
Yeah, it is brutal. Jason, message me on Twitter so I can figure out who you are, so we can talk real quick.
Got it. I'll do that right after I get off.
All right. Thanks,
all right, brother,
Jason.
Congrats.
Appreciate it so much. Yeah, I mean, alcoholism is something that I am very open about because it's something that I think is very important. And I was never a guy really who, I'm going to save this for a second because I need to get to the daily gripe. And we're going to have sounders, we're going to have music, we're going to have beds and all this other stuff. But for today, we are just going to see what works. And I think the daily gripe is going to work. So basically what the daily gripe is going to be is something that irked me during the day or annoyed me during the day. And it could be anything as big as, someone scratched my car to as small as I can't find my keys in the morning. But you heard all about my parking lot freak out earlier today. So I'm not going to bring that one up, but it's going to happen again tomorrow. Everybody be ready for another freak out because the other side of the street is being shut down. But here's my daily gripe for today. I was walking my dog Lucky over the weekend, and Lucky is, he's a big dog. So he has big waist, if you know what I mean. And when I'm walking, I definitely make sure to clean up after the dogs whenever I walk them. I'm not the guy who's going to leave it there because I think that's disgusting. And I know for a fact that my dog Lucky has stepped in another dog's stuff before, and it's annoying to clean it out of his feet. So I definitely pick it up and I throw it away and do my part. But the hike that I was doing this weekend, they wanted you to pick up the dog's waste, but they didn't have any trash cans anywhere on the trail. Like literally no trash cans. So I was walking for 2 miles with 2 dog waste bags, and it was bouncing all around. Obviously, those things don't smell very good, but all I was doing was trying to find the next trash can on the trail, and I couldn't find a trash can until I got all the way back to where I started. So I carried these bags for about 2 miles. The chat is saying, okay, it's dog poop is what I'm talking about. Trying to be a little bit more, I don't know, maybe not so crass, but no, it's dog poop. That's what it is. But I was walking around with this. Please, if you're going to require people to pick up dog poop, make sure that you have trash cans for us to throw it away in. That's the least that you can do for us. And furthermore, this didn't happen because I usually have bags with me. Sometimes I don't, but usually do. But if you want us to pick up the dog poop as well, make sure there's extra bags. And I kind of been less angry about the bag thing, because you should be bringing your own bags to begin with, but just set us up for success. Make it easy on us instead of me walking around with about 5 pounds of dog poop in my hands while the dogs are running around. So there's my daily gripe. That's the kind of thing you might get in a daily gripe from time to time. Maybe not dog poop all the time, but I'll have something for you. I think everybody who knows me definitely knows that I'll have something for you each day that I do this show. All right, so we're coming to the end. Again, thank you everyone who joined us for the show today, and thank you so much for all the support in the chat on YouTube. Really appreciate that. All the support on X, all the support on Instagram. Honestly, was nervous to do this show, but the confidence that you all show in me brought my confidence to the surface, and I'm glad. I mean, I can't believe we're almost done with the first show. It's gone that quick. But I wanted to stop before we get to the end of the show and just talk about how I got here. And I get plenty of questions about how you get into radio. And the simple question, in my opinion, is to start early. Try and get involved in college radio if you can. But really, all it takes is a hunger to be good and be great and hard work. Getting in, I think, is the hardest part in radio right now, but it can be done. And I was pretty lost 9 years ago, working full-time for a marketing company downtown and traveling the country about 25 or 30 weeks a year. And that was fun and everything in the beginning, but I started to not like my job very much. And I definitely was not a fan of one of my bosses. So I was looking for something new. I was scared to change my direction at 29 years old, but people, not old people, but people told me to go and chase my dreams. I literally was that person in my car saying, quote, I could do this. I would be so much better than these guys on the radio. I definitely said that millions of times, never got into it or never looked into it, but then I did. I didn't really know how hard it was to sit behind a mic and talk for a living. But over the last 9 years, I've been given many opportunities by many great bosses that have allowed me to be on the air and also at the same time, be myself on the air. Everybody's always encouraged me, and I really appreciate all those who have helped me get to this point. But, I had, again, always wanted to be in radio. I just didn't know how. And then I got a connection to be an unpaid intern for a radio show here in town. It's a competing company. I can't say it, but I was a little nervous because I was the oldest intern by about, 7 or 8 years. But this worked in my favor, because some of the other interns were more focused on the air stuff and getting on the air and not really the background stuff, the stuff behind the scenes. So I set out to learn everything I could about radio. I kept my head down. I kept working, and slowly I distanced myself from the rest of the interns. And I think this is the most important part. Even if you're an unpaid intern, and this goes for any job, work like you are getting paid a lot of money. People will notice that you are working like that. But from there, I just followed the opportunities as they came. I was hired as one of 2 interns hired onto the staff after the internship ended. And I just kept working as hard as I possibly could to keep pushing for more. I followed my path. I went from, morning show to news talk to sports talk. I followed many different paths, and that's how I'm here today. And I've been on this show for the past 5 years, as I was hired over here to be a producer for another show. But it's just funny how things work, and you just need to go forward. And you just need to make sure that you are pushing yourself to go in a direction that is A, attainable, and B, something that people or something that you love, and something that you really care about. And this is radio is what I cared about. And over time, we're going to get into the alcoholism and all that stuff. But radio really did help me get away from all of that. Radio helped me to get myself focused again. When I first got sober, I worked all the time, 60, 70 days in a row. And it was just something to keep me away from doing the bad things. So radio has saved my life, and I love radio for it. And it really has saved my life. I'm not just saying that. But before we go, there are a few people I always wanted to shout out on my first show. And I have to, because I'm going to start with my grandpa. He really did help me make ends meet when I was starting out in radio. He encouraged me wholeheartedly to follow my dreams. And without him, I guarantee you I'm not here right now. He did a lot of things for me that I'm just so lucky and grateful to have in my life. And he helped me to realize that sometimes chasing your dreams is the right way to go, even if it's scary. I also want to say thanks to my parents, because they are very critical to this success as well. They always told me to keep going for more. They have helped me far beyond what a parent is expected to help. And they have been so positive about my journey through alcoholism and building a radio career that I know for a fact that I would not be the person I am today without my parents being able to help me get through my daily life. I mean, there was a point in time where I don't know that my parents thought I was going to be around much longer because of how bad my drinking got. But I turned it around, and I am now 7 years. I'm 7 years without a drink, and I'm 9 years into radio, and I wouldn't do anything else. This is the only thing I've ever really thought I wanted to do, and I'm so glad I did it. But I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. That's it for today's Skraby Show. This went way quicker than I thought, so I gotta, maybe stop with so many notes for tomorrow's show. But I will be back tomorrow with another Skraby Show, 6 to 7 p.m. Gwen and Chris tomorrow. We have Michael King scheduled to be on the show, new Padres pitcher, so stick around for that. And thank you to everyone who has joined me here on the first ever Skraby Show. Back with you tomorrow on Gwen and Chris, and then after 6 to 7 p.m. 97.3 The Fan.
Rev up the new year with a resolution that drives change at Hyundai of El Cajon. New Elantra SEL, just $276 per month lease. With a price like that, why not?